Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. We are gathered here today to talk about your May horoscopes. And first and foremost, I'm gonna make a public service announcement. I think that's what it's called in the US. Please also listen to the horoscope for your rising sign, not just your sun sign, because you might find that you relate a lot more to the rising sign horoscope, especially right now when we've got all of these intense transits unfolding around us. Now, what is going on in May? Let me give you the general breakdown. May is retrograde season. We've got pretty much all planets that could go retrograde are going retrograde in May, with the exception of Mercury. So, and a few others. But we've got, first and foremost, Pluto retrograde throughout the entire month of May. It actually went retrograde on the 25th of April. And it's gonna stay in retrograde till the 4th of October. Now, Pluto, in mundane astrology, governs over, I would say, it governs over things that are hidden. It governs death, it governs taxes, it's associated with things happening behind the scenes, and also power play behind the scenes. We also have Saturn in Aquarius in May, going retrograde on May 11th, and it's gonna be retrograde, it's gonna step back into Capricorn until the 29th of September. We also have Jupiter going retrograde. Jupiter is in Capricorn and it's going to retrograde through Capricorn as of May the 14th, and it's going to be in retrograde till September. And last but not least, on the 13th of May, we have beautiful Venus going retrograde in Gemini till the 25th of June. What does it all mean? Well, we are gonna start breaking it down. We're gonna start breaking it down for everyone, for all signs. We've got a new moon and a full moon, as we normally do this month. We've got a full moon happening on the 7th of May in Scorpio, and we have a new moon on the 22nd of May in Gemini. And spoiler alert, I am so looking forward to the 22nd of May new moon. Now, let's kick it off, people, with the one, the only, Aries. Aries, what is going on for you in May? So, we've got Jupiter, we've got Pluto, and slowly but surely we also have Saturn creeping back up in retrograde motion in your 10th house of career and public status and professional pathway throughout the month of May. So you might find that throughout this entire month, you'll have to somehow revisit the career decisions that you've taken since the beginning of the year. If you have been wanting to change jobs, if you have been looking forward to stepping up the corporate ladder, if you have been looking at whether you need to rethink your entire career pathway and take it in a different direction, you might have already started doing that, but as of May and till autumn, I would say, it starts in May, but it will last for quite some time, you might have to revisit some of those decisions that you've taken. It's also possible that somehow you might have to work again with previous bosses or get in touch with people that you've worked with in the past. Maybe with clients that you've had in the past, people who you've done business with in the past. There is a going back over things that you might have thought are already like done and dusted and wrapped up, and that is it. There's this entire sense of like having to revisit things, okay? It is also very possible that a career structure that you might have started building from the beginning of the year, I don't want to say it's not going to crash, but it might not be as strong as you thought it was. So you might have to do some more work on building that. So you might have like taken a little bit of a step back and think, yes, things are going fine. I'm actually in the right place. I'm in the right direction. Well, things might actually start to slow down. You might start getting some sort of like bureaucratic impediments. There might be this feeling of circumstances beyond your control, actually pushing the brakes on your career path. Don't fret. Take it as an opportunity to, like I said, revisit some of the things that you thought were kind of done and dusted. Take it also as a time to reflect on whether this is actually the career path that you are willing to take. And let's say you've been offered like a fabulous opportunity and you could not wait to start fresh career-wise. It can be put on the back burner. It might be delayed. It might be that that promotion that you were looking for, that better paying job that you were given the green light, the go ahead on, might be put on hold. There might be like a freeze in the company where you were looking to move to. So take it easy. Don't think that all is lost, and don't get impatient, because that's going to be your worst enemy. You will not be able to fight off these walls. So keep that in mind. Now, throughout the entire month of May until the 25th of June, you've got Gemini. You've got Venus in Gemini, because we all have Gemini somewhere in our charts. You've got Venus going retrograde in Gemini in your third house of communication. The third house is also associated with short distance travel. It's associated with sales. It's associated with siblings. You might finally have the opportunity to start socializing again after like weeks, maybe even months in lockdown and quarantine, in keeping away from your community, from your siblings, from your neighbors. So it might feel like almost going a little bit back to normal when it comes to socializing, interacting with people, starting to travel a little bit more, short distance, FYI, not long distance. And almost like getting back in touch with people who you have not been in touch with for a very, very long time, which is going to feel nice. It's going to feel like normal. But, big caveat. There's no going back to the old normal out of all of this situation unfolding around us. A new normal shall be created. So everything that we're going through is temporary right now. And it's almost like a band-aid, but it's not solving the wider picture. And like I said, a new normal shall emerge out of all of this. Now, on the 7th of May, you've got a full moon happening in your 8th house of other people's money, of debts, of inheritances, of insurance. It's also the house linked with crisis, with personal transformation, with psychological transformation. And we've got a bit of a highlight on your money axis. So around this time, it's very possible that you might either have to, if you have like any sort of debts, you might have to pay back the people that you owe. But at the same time, as much as you're concerned or worried about money going out of your pocket, I've got to say, you've got a guardian angel looking after you, and you've got like almost this like behind the scenes, no one knows of it, only you know of it, source of income that comes in and saves the day somehow. I would urge you though not to splurge too much on the things that you've been devoid of, because it can totally backfire, and you might have this like wool drawn over your eyes and think, yeah, we're out of the woods, it's all fine, it's all going back to normal, the worst has passed. You have someone up there looking looking after you, but the worst has not passed just yet. Now, I know, I'm giving all the good news today. On the 22nd of May, on the other hand, we've got a new moon in Gemini, in your third house, where I've just mentioned that you've also got Venus going retrograde this month. It's very nicely aspected. I've got to say, I said it at the beginning of the video. I'm going to say it again. I'm very much looking forward to this new moon because it's aspected by, by Saturn and Aquarius in your house of friends and long-term plans. So around this time, it feels to me like you're probably getting out of the house for good. You're catching up with friends. You get this almost like new lease of life in regards to a long-term plan, in regards to a long-term objective that you may or may not have put on the back burner. And I know it's an out of sign trine, but we also have Jupiter, we also have Pluto, and we also have Saturn, which I've mentioned previously, in a harmonious aspect with this new moon. So around this time, I'm gonna say it. First of all, you're probably gonna get out of the house to catch up with friends finally. At the same time, you're gonna start making long-term plans in regards to your career, and you might feel like things are finally moving where they have been stagnant. So you might hear some really good news in regards to your career, even though you might not be able to implement it straight away. I'm telling you. Also, let me tell you, around the new moon, you're probably going to be very, very pleasantly surprised with some out of the blue kind of source of income coming into your life. Maybe you're going to get the opportunity to make some quick cash out of your own work. So it's not going to be a gift. You're going to be able to give something back in return. So all in all, you are getting a bit impatient in May. Things are slowing down in some respects, but at the same time, it feels like you're getting out of the house. You're starting to reconnect with people. You're probably going to reconnect also with a lot of people from your past, people who you might have been in relationships with. You're going to hear back from them. You're going to see them. And there's going to be this strong impact, strong focus on communication throughout the entire month. So enjoy May, I'm telling you, Aries. Now, let us move on to Taurus. My lovely, lovely, lovely Taurians, what does the month of May have in store for you? Now, as I've said, we've got Venus going retrograde from the 13th of May till the 25th of June in your second house of earned income. So you might finally be repaid for some of the services that you have performed a while back, and maybe there was like a freeze on payments. Maybe you like didn't hear back from, I don't know, contractors, subcontractors, companies that you've worked with, freelancers. In any case, it looks like money that you were due to receive a while back is finally making its way to you. Now, it's also very possible that throughout the entire month, you might hear back from, or you might hear again. Maybe hear back is not the best way to frame it. You might hear from people who you've been romantically linked with in the past, and they might actually have a very positive impact on your sense of self-esteem, self-worth, confidence, and all of that. I urge you not to make any sort of rash decisions, and that's probably not in your nature. So I'm pretty chill about you, because you are pretty chill and you don't rush into things and you don't jump into things. But there might be this feeling of, I'm reconnecting with this person. It's kind of like stirring up some emotions. It's making me feel good about myself again. What does that mean? I'm also going to say you're very likely in May going to splurge after the 13th of May on some really nice things for yourself. You might have been holding back on treating yourself. Well, after the 13th of May, you're probably going to treat yourself. I am telling you. So that's also happening. Now, I also want to say that throughout the month of May, so from the second half of May onwards, you're entering a phase, and it's quite a long phase. I've got to tell you, it ends at some point in mid-September, end of September. You are entering a phase where you are likely gonna go back to studying things if you have been in a scholarly environment, in an academic environment, and if you have been enrolled in any sort of courses and you've put those on hold. After mid-May, you will probably go back and pick up where you left off. It's also very possible, don't get your hopes up high though, too high for this month, but I would say from the end of May, beginning of June onwards till mid-September, travel might start becoming like a part of your life once again. Long distance travel. You might start making plans again. You might start looking into some of the let's say journeys that you might have postponed due to the lockdown, the quarantine, all the craziness. So your mind might start veering in that direction, and it's gonna feel nice. It's gonna feel good. It's gonna feel like, yeah, we should be doing this. I urge you not to spend any money though, because these planets that are currently traveling through your 9th house of long distance travel, they are in retrograde. They're going to be in retrograde as of May, but they're going to go back direct, and there's going to be more disruption. There is going to be more revolution from mid-September onwards. So if you do have the opportunity to travel, I would say make the most of it as of end of May, June onwards. But come end of August, things are probably going to start slowing down again. I know. Now, on the 7th of May, you've got a full moon unfolding in your 7th house of partnerships and marriage, if you're married, or long-term relationships, committed relationships, or even business partnerships if you are in a partnership with someone. Now, I've got mixed feelings about this full moon. On the one hand, it's a culmination. It brings with it almost like a sense of ending, and it's like, yes, finally, I was waiting for this. There was so much build up for this. On the other hand, it might feel quite painful. So I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be opposing the moon in your house of partnership, and somehow you might feel like you're being pitted against your partner, and you might feel like you have to make a decision. You have to either compromise on something that your partner is asking you to do, or go in a separate direction. I'm gonna say that you're probably gonna compromise. You're gonna find a compromise. You're gonna talk it through. You are gonna have a sit down and rethink your whole perspective on the matter that a partner is bringing to you. If you're not in a partnership, if you are single, or if you don't want to have anything to do with like a committed partner, I'm gonna say you might feel around this time that a lot of people are against you. You might feel like it's you against the world. But if you take a step back, and if you ask your friends about their take on it, and also if you try to open up your vision a little bit, you're gonna see that actually it might be a misunderstanding. It might be that everyone's feeling like very vulnerable, very frail right now. Everyone is like very emotionally stretched. Also at full moons, we're all emotionally stretched. Full moons usually bring with them culminations or crisis, okay? So if people are more emotional than usual and they are saying things that they might regret later, or if there's not enough clarity in communication, talk it through. Don't take it against them, and don't take it personally, my lovely Taurus. Now, on the 22nd of May, we've got good news for you, Taurus. We have a new moon, aka a new beginning, in your second house of earned income and values and self-worth and resources, beautifully aspected by Saturn in your house of career. You're probably getting like a raise or something, or you are financially rewarded for the hard work that you've been putting into your job. If you don't get a raise, if you don't get like something monetary, although in this lifetime, in this world, in this 3D world, what we think we're worth is what the world gives us in turn. So if we think we are worth a lot, the universe is gonna match that and is gonna reward us and repay us, not necessarily reward us, but pay us for the skills and the services that we bring to the world. It could be that if you don't get like straight away a monetary reward, you get praise and you get recognition career-wise that bolsters up your confidence, and in the long run will have a positive impact on your income as well. So in any case, it's looking good. You might also feel like around this time, all your friends want a piece of you, and you don't have time for all of them, and you're trying to prioritize them, and they can feel a little bit annoyed by this. You might also feel like they are a little bit jealous of your success around this time, which they could be, because hey, they're only human, so don't hold it against them. And that is Taurus. Now, my dear Gemini suns and Gemini risings, you have a full 2 years ahead of you, because slowly but surely, by the beginning of summer, the North and the South node are moving into your axis. So actually the North node is moving into Gemini and the South node is going to be in the opposite sign of Sagittarius. So May is kind of preparing you. It's setting the tone for the very exciting 2-year chapter that you are going into this year. Now, what's going on what is going on in May? First and foremost, we have Venus going retrograde in your own sign. It's going retrograde on the 13th of May, and it is going to stay there till the 25th of June. But if we take into account the shadow period, all of that, I would say the whole month of May is impacted by Venus going retrograde. Now, what's the deal, and what is it gonna determine you to do, or what will you be more likely to do throughout this month? Well, you might take a long, good look at your physical body. Take a look at your body and say, listen, I love you. We need to get back in shape, tip-top shape. And I'm not saying that you weren't in shape before, but you might become more body conscious throughout the whole month of May, and you might feel the need to treat yourself more, to pamper yourself more, to take care of your body more. You might be tempted to go for a massage. You might be tempted to splurge a little bit more on, let's say, skincare or like body treatments. So it's a very good month, I would say, to reconnect with your body this May, my lovely Gemini, and make sure you have a relationship based on love and enjoyment, and not just sensual pleasure, but also sensual pleasure to an extent. It is a month for you to think of your 5 senses and think of how you can bring joy to them. You might also go back to get like an old haircut that you had a while back and that you somehow feel drawn to again. You might reconsider trying out the same color that you've had, I don't know, a hair color that you've had on a few years ago and feel quite nostalgic. You might also go through your entire wardrobe and sort it out and get rid of stuff that no longer feel represents you, or find hidden gems in your wardrobe that bring up the nostalgia and you're like, yeah, this reminds me of this time, and I'm gonna wear it again, and it's gonna feel nice and cozy. Which is like exactly what we need right now, because if anything, these months have not been nice or cozy for that matter. Now, on the 7th of May, we've got a full moon happening in your 6th house of day-to-day work routine, daily schedule, co-workers, and health and wellness and well-being. So like I said, you're probably coming to some sort of culmination in regards to a certain work project that has kept you busy. But also you might feel like finally you're seeing the finish line, and if you have been amassing stress and anxiety because of it, it's a good time to like let it go. It's a good time to put it behind you. It's a good time to wrap things up. I would say around this time, it is possible that you might hear some disturbing news from work, some disturbing news in regards to coworkers. This whole full moon, 3 days before, 3 days after, bears with it the mark of an ending. And I'm all for finishing and wrapping things up, but this full moon is, the sun is very, very close to Mercury around this time, which brings with it news, and Mercury is in a square with Mars. So this to me has written over it something of a culmination through less than pleasant news, and news that come to you all of a sudden, and that might have almost a bit of an aggressive undertone to them. They might feel quite violent in nature. So there is a potential breakdown unfolding at work around the 7th of May. An ending that is quite abrupt somehow, but I do have to say, it might not necessarily be you. It could be you hearing news of your coworkers, so related to your coworkers. I do have to tell you, friends are probably going to be very, very supportive around this time. So if you can lean on them, if you need help, do ask help from them, because they're going to be there for you. If you have been having any sort of health issues in the past few months, I've got to say, Neptune is actually in a very positive, harmonious angle with the full moon. So this makes me think of healing, soothing, at the end of a rocky health journey. Now, on the 22nd of May, this is the one that I'm super excited about. I'm probably going to flag it to all signs. On the 22nd of May, we have a new moon happening in your first house. New moon, new you. So you are entering a 1-year chapter where you will probably be redefining your identity, redefining how you see yourself, redefining how the world sees you, how you come across to the world. And you're probably going to really enjoy this new you. You're going to be appreciative of it. And spoiler alert, or not so spoiler alert, you might feel like you've conquered your demons around this time, or some demons, at least some demons. You might feel like, okay, so I've been through the absolute worst. I've been to hell and back, but I'm over it. I've made it. And I actually have a few aces up my sleeve. Like I said, it will feel like you are very psychologically empowered, because you've been going through like a pretty tough time. And on the outside, people might think, oh, look what's happening in XYZ's life. This happened in their like workplace sector. They've had to deal with like all the craziness. It hasn't been easy on them. It looks like everything that you're going through is gonna make you super strong, and you're probably gonna be quite proud of yourself for reacting as calmly and positively and forward facing as you will be around this time. So like I said, I'm actually very excited for the new moon happening around the 22nd. You can also hear news of travel and holiday and travel plans in general. And you're probably going to feel quite optimistic, like I said, despite the fact that things might have broken down in your workplace earlier this month. You seem to be receiving inspiration or news or simply tuning into a much more positive attitude and vibration and looking forward to the future. Because if you've survived this, the only way is up. There's no going anywhere else than up. Now, I am going to tell you, there is some lack of clarity around where your career is headed. There is some fog around your career. You might be a little confused. And I'm going to say this confusion is probably going to last for some time. You do seem to have like an open opponent somehow at work or in your career sector, environment, circumstances. My advice is to tackle this person very openly, very diplomatically, but very openly. There's no beating around the bush. Even if it leads to open confrontation, you come this month from a place of diplomacy and from a place of charisma and from a loving place, I would say. With that Venus transiting your first house of personality and physical body, you're probably going to be a lot more diplomatic than you normally are. So do use that charm. Do use that charm to talk things through. And you might have to talk through issues that have arisen with this person who seems to have like a tooth against you. They probably arose at some point in the past as well, so it's nothing new. So this is a time for you to sort them out. And that is Gemini. My lovely Cancerians, what does May have in store for you? Now, first and foremost, I've got to tell you, you've got Venus going retrograde through your 12th house, and it's going to be spending a lot of time in your 12th house. So Cancer Sun and Cancer risings, out of all signs, out of all people who have been to some extent caught in the lockdown, caught in the turmoil unfolding in the world, you're probably going to be the ones who actually enjoy the rest of the isolation measures, let's call it this way. If you are going to be pulled back into some sort of like back to normal lifestyle, you might still have a longing for spending time on your own, maybe relaxing. Speaking of relaxing, even though you might have spent a lot of time at home in the past month or like longer than that, between the 13th of May and the 25th of June, it is a fantastic time for you, if you can, to take some days off, to take some time off, to use this time, to use this Venus retrograde cycle, to reconnect with what you love about spirituality, what you love about your connection with the universe. If you can save some time aside, let's say you don't have time to take time off, or let's say like a holiday is out of the question, but a holiday or a vacation doesn't necessarily have to be someplace other than home and someplace other than surrounded by the people you love. So the gist of it is, take some time off if you can. If you can't take some time off, save time throughout your day to reconnect with that hurt child inside of you and almost like self-soothe through various techniques, through, let's say, meditation, through taking long baths. Anything that you can do to nurture those parts inside of you that you have not been paying attention to, or that you have been putting on the back burner, would be very much welcome around this time. Now, I'm also going to say this because, hey, you know me, I call things by their name. Whilst Venus is in retrograde, Cancerians, you might very well feel the urge to get back in touch with previous flames, with people who you've been romantically involved with in the past. Or you might be completely taken aback and surprised to see them reaching out to you. And there is this sense of like hidden romance, hidden fling, undercover fling about Venus traversing Gemini in your 12th house, which is very secret. It's in the shadows. It's what we can't see. So this transit of Venus might also bring with it a secret flame, a secret affair. But hey, who knows exactly how it will play out in your life? Don't say I didn't tell you when you hear back from a previous lover. Now, this is also coupled up with the fact that Jupiter, Pluto, and soon, not in May, but soon, this summer, Saturn is also going back through your 7th house of partnership and marriage and long-term committed relationships. So it might feel like you're starting off a phase that is a few months long. So it starts off in May. It starts off in mid-May when Venus is going retrograde, and it feels like it's coming to a closure towards the end of September, beginning of October, where you have to probably revisit some of the arrangements that have been made with a partner. If you have been planning to make a certain move with your partner and it's been put on the back burner because of the pandemic, let's say, over summer, you'll probably have the chance to do it if it was pre-planned. So let's say some of you might have planned to get married this summer, and you might have felt like, oh, there's no chance in the world that this is going ahead because of the pandemic, because of the travel bans, etc., etc. Well, by the end of May, you might actually realize that it is possible, and the event that you had in mind with your significant other can actually go ahead with restrictions, but it can still go ahead. So there might be some good news around that as well. There might be, I would say, emotionally pleasing news and events that happen in regards to a partner. If you had like broken up with a partner in the past months, you might get back together. That is also very, very, very possible. But the sense of crisis that you might have been going through since the end of March seems to be dying down, right? It's kind of like dwindling. And the focus is moving back to your partner. Now, on the 7th of May, we have a full moon happening in your 5th house. The 5th house is the house of true love. So again, we're talking love, we're talking romance. But we are also talking of children, if you have any. And let's not forget, 5th house is the house of fun. So around the 7th of May, you might finally hear some very, very positive news in regards to whether you can get out of the house or not, in regards to some fun, entertaining activities that you had planned. And I'm also going to say that if you can, and if you have the possibility somehow, You might be even throwing some sort of party. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing like a get together with friends. I'm seeing like some fun, entertaining activities, and it all seems to be mandated by a higher power. So I'm imagining you might hear like from the government, you might hear from like your bosses, you might hear some really, really positive news that makes you want to celebrate, either with your friends or with a loved one or with both of them. Now, on the 22nd of May, we've got a new moon happening in your 12th house. Again, a very hidden part of your chart, a part of your chart that is related to isolation. And I really like this new moon because it is very nicely aspected by the big bad Saturn, which is actually not too bad to have on your side. And Saturn at the time is going to be in Aquarius in your 8th house. So it could very well be that around this time you enter a new phase in your life, a new chapter in your life, where you've managed to integrate. I'm getting all esoteric here. You've managed to integrate parts of yourself that weren't that well integrated into your subconscious. You've managed to like get over some like painful experiences. You've managed to get over some like anxiety-inducing experiences, some personal demons that you've had to battle in the past months. And it feels like you can finally rest. It's also very possible, because the 8th house is also the house of sex, that around this time you are kicking off this like undercover, exciting, romantic fling. Or if you are coupled up, if you are in a partnership, things might be getting super hot and steamy with your partner right now. And there's this sense of like, only the two, well, most definitely only the two of you know of this, and it feels like exciting because it's secret and it's mysterious and the world doesn't know about it, and like you're both accomplices in this. I mean, you might have been with your partner for a very long time, but still it might feel like it's very exciting what's happening with the two of you behind closed doors. So that's the emphasis. Things are happening, exciting, arousing, with the two of you behind closed doors. And it seems to be a reason of like great joy and pleasure, which is a nice change in tune for you, Cancerians. However, I also have some challenging news to share around the new moon. Mars in the 9th house is squaring your new moon. So although you might be itching to travel, although you might be itching to go back into the world, you probably won't have the chance to do that as soon as you might want it to. So you might be like itching to like go away with a partner and like spend some quality time, just the two of you. Although if you've been with this person for a long time, you were probably like in lockdown together. But a lockdown doesn't necessarily feel like quality time. It's a lockdown and you're kind of like forced into it. You don't have a say in it. So you get my drill, Cancerians. Enjoy May. Now let us move on to Leos. My beautiful beasts. What the hell does May have in store for you? Well, May's gonna be a lot nicer to you and to everyone else compared to the past 2 months, compared to March, compared to April, also compared to January, because January's been pretty hard on you as well. So what is going on? Throughout the entire month, we have Venus going retrograde in your 11th house of friends, friendships, and goals, and long-term plans and dreams. Leo, you have good news from me, and you will probably send me thank you notes for this, but May is the month after the 13th of the month where you can finally catch up with friends. A round of applause for that. Yay! I don't know why I'm so excited because like I'm not a Leo, but I'm excited for you guys. I know you've been missing the socializing a lot. I've got to admit I've been missing it also, and I do pretty well by myself on my own. So finally, after the 13th of May, you are getting together with friends and you are catching up. And you are rekindling those connections, those relationships. And this is going to be going on through May, so from the 13th onwards, and also throughout the whole month of June. You might also be going over plans that you've made with friends in the past and that were postponed or that were like somehow caught in limbo. And some of them could actually go ahead. So very exciting news on that front. Now, on the other hand, we've got a lot of planets going back in a retrograde in your 6th house of work. So what does that mean? It means that if you have placed on hold some of your work projects, if you have not been able to carry them out, you'll be able to pick up where you left off. And that is very exciting, Leo, because you've got work to do. This is a year where you have a lot of work to do on a day-to-day basis. I'm talking job-wise. And as of mid-May, you're probably going to feel like you can finally go ahead with all the work projects that were somewhere sat waiting for you to pick them up until at least beginning of October, I'd say November-ish. So a lot of activity starting to come through in your work sector as well. It's linked with stuff that you've started off in the past though. Now, on the 7th of May, we have a full moon unfolding in your 4th house of home and family and roots and your past, your childhood. I've got to say, I'm loving this full moon for you, and I don't love it for many people, but I'm loving it for you because it seems to be like the end of a very tough time in regards to your relationship with your family. Maybe you were kept away from them. It's very possible. Maybe you've been isolated and haven't been able to like get together with them. This period seems to be coming to an end, and you might finally get out of this like tough time because we've got Mars, which is the ruler of your 9th house of society and travel, very beautifully aspecting at the full moon, Venus, which is the ruler of your 4th house and your 10th house. We also have Neptune in your 8th house in a nice aspect with the full moon in your 4th house. So it seems like somehow news that impact society at large announce like an ending to some sort of like restrictions, and you are able to get back to your family, you are able to get back to your home. Also, if you've been living in some sort of like fear and anxiety in regards to your family, that seems to also be coming to an end. So a very, very beautiful full moon, my dear Leo. I would give it 3 days before, 3 days after the 7th of May for it to like fully play out. But you're in a really good position, Leo. Now, on the 22nd of May, we've got a new moon happening in your 11th house. The house of long-term plans and goals and objectives. This is fantastically aspected with Saturn in Aquarius in your 7th house of partnerships. Around the 22nd, 3 days before, 3 days after, you are making plans that will play out beautifully. For a long period of time, it will require commitment from you, but you are making plans with your partner, with a significant other. It could be your romantic long-term partner. It could be that around this time you find a partner to make long-term plans with. And it could also be a business partner. If you are in business with someone, you are finally looking towards the future because everything's been on hold. But now it seems like the mood is lighter, the atmosphere is lighter. You can confidently start putting things in motion, looking towards the future. So very, very positive. I would say though, this partner of yours, be it like a business partner, be it a life partner, seems to be holding something away from your eyes. They seem to be withholding some information, maybe some frustration, maybe some anger, maybe they were expecting you to do things that you didn't do throughout this period. And some repressed anger might permeate around the same time. Don't get too annoyed. Don't enter an argument. Allow them to speak up. If you have something to speak up, and if you were the one who was actually like amassing frustration and anger, don't take it out on them aggressively. It's always better to talk things through. It's also possible that there might be one delay in regards to putting your plans into action. Someone might be owing you some money, or you might need to like pay something off before you can start working on this plan that you've put in place with a partner. And before you go full speed ahead, you have to take care of that debt. And that is Leo for May. My dear Virgos, welcome to your May horoscopes. Now, you're going to be pleased, Virgos, like many other signs, because in May, things will start to resemble some sort of new normal. So the crisis will feel like it's slowing down. The anxiety levels will also go down. And we can only look forward to that, can't we? So I've got some really good news for you this month. First and foremost, throughout the entire month of June, most of June, and half of May, so from the 13th of May onwards, we have got Venus going retrograde in your 10th house of career. Now, with Venus retrograde in this specific sector of your career, it would be fantastic if you could get back in touch with old clients, old leads. If you could start working again on projects that you've started off beforehand and maybe you did not have the time to finish. I'm gonna say that throughout the entire month of May and most of, well, actually the full month of June as well, because after the 25th, Venus is going direct, but it's still going to be in your 10th house of career. So for these 2 months, it kind of started towards the end of April already, but you're somehow protected career-wise. So whatever is unfolding in the world, bad mostly. Bad as in disruptive. Okay, let's not use polarizing terms, but disruptive, okay? You might feel shielded from it, and you might feel like there's someone out there kind of having your back career-wise. So it is very possible that you're going to continue to draw in money from your career. It is also very possible that you might hear back from previous collaborators, from previous clients. Like I said, it's a fantastic time to reach out to previous leads, to people who or companies who you've worked with in the past to see how they can help career-wise. And money seems to be coming your way. Money seems to be, it continues to find its way to you through your career. And it's money that you're going to be working for. So you're going to be kept quite busy. It's also a time when you're going to be looked upon favorably by bosses and by people with authority and by decision makers who can have a significant impact on your career. You can also be quite charismatic, I would say, and you can play the role of the peacemaker and the one who's finding common ground in the workplace, in a career environment, and bosses and higher ups are going to notice that. So you've got people with authority on your side, and things are, I don't want to call it progress, because retrograde is not progress, but it's a nice breather, I would say, career-wise. And like I said, you are shielded and you are being favored somehow. If you look at the world around you, you're probably going to feel quite lucky, work-wise and career-wise. Now, on the 7th of May, we've got a full moon happening in Scorpio in your 3rd house of communication, siblings, short distance travel, sales, and this full moon is actually in a really nice angle with Neptune in your 7th house of partnership in Pisces. I would say that around this time, you might reach some sort of communication breakthrough with a partner. It might be something, it could be around a topic that the two of you might have avoided, and it's been bubbling up and it's been creeping up on you, and finally you lay all your cards on the table, and you might be very pleasantly surprised by their reaction, I'm gonna say. It's also very possible if you've been like continuing to postpone some sort of like short trip, or if you've been continuing to postpone some of the day-to-day tasks that you had to do and that involved travel or transportation of any kind, you might finally receive the help of someone who can smooth the way for you and allow you to like go through with your plans. I'm also going to say, if you work in any sort of like sales related environment, 3 days before the 7th of May, 3 days after is a fantastic time for you to persuade others, because your communication style is very sharp, on point, and you hit the nail on the head, right? You can be very, very persuasive around this time. I'm also gonna say this: if you have been studying really hard, and if, let's say, you have some sort of exam to sit and to take, 3 days before, 3 days after the full moon, you might be finally taking it and going through with it, and the results are going to be very, very favorable. You might feel actually quite lucky. You might not know how you pulled this one through. On the 22nd of May, we have a new moon happening in your 10th house of career. So like I said, it's a good month for you career-wise. Things are slow, but things are moving, and things are, like, the universe seems to be having your best interest at heart. I mean, the universe has the best interest of all of us at heart, but sometimes the way this is manifested is more or less harmonious, let's say. For you, Virgo, it's going to manifest quite harmoniously, I would say. So you're entering into a new career phase, my lovely Virgo, and this is going to last for at least a year. So very important. And it's beautifully aspecting Saturn in the 6th house. The 6th house is the house of day-to-day work. So you're entering a new chapter, and you seem to be having consistent work to do for at least the next year. And it's something that is very stimulating for your mind. It's somehow linked to an activity or like a boss or a job or a previous company from your past. So it might be something that you have done in the past. Maybe you gave it up. Maybe you've pursued other paths. But now it's almost like making a reappearance into your life, and you're entering a new chapter that is linked with an activity that you have done before, or with a company or a person that you have been engaged with career-wise in activities before. Saturn, the great taskmaster, whatever it brings and whatever it touches is usually long-term. So you can rest assured that if you receive like a new job offer, if you receive like a new gig, if you receive a new contract offer around this time, Virgo, it is going to last for a really long time. Even though you might have doubts about it, Saturn has actually got your back this time. You will be required to work very hard though. And you will be required to think outside of the box and to come up with innovative, edgy solutions. So another one to keep in mind. I do have to say around the full moon, around the new moon, around the 22nd, Neptune in your 7th house of partnership is squaring Venus in your house of career. So your partner might have some doubts around this new career chapter, or you might be having second thoughts as to whether you should take this opportunity or not, because you're thinking of how it could impact the partnerships in your life. My advice is, with your partner right now, it's quite like smoke and mirrors. And it's all kind of like confusing. So better make use of your judgment and go for the opportunity that is being presented to you career-wise, because we're all gonna need work, right? Especially you, Virgo, especially you who cannot stand not making themselves useful. And that is Virgo for May. Now let us move on to Libras. Okay, what is going on? My dear Libras, you've been hit hard. You have. You've been hit hard since the beginning of the year. In your home sector, in your family sector, you might have been receiving some like distressing news. Even the fact that you were like cooped up at home for like most of this year, or maybe you felt like your movement around the house was restricted, or there was a lot of like anxiety, stress in regards to your home, to your family. It hasn't been easy on you. Well, things are getting easier in May, Libras. Just hang on in there. I actually have a Libra friend who messaged me and asked me, are we gonna get over this? As in, we Libras, are we, not me, because I'm not a Libra, but are we gonna survive this period? And I said, yes, you will. You just have to hang on in there. You have been faced with some of your deepest fears, karmic fears, karmic wounds, I would say. You have been forced to look inside of you and to really assess who you are in private. Do you have any roots? What is your foundation like? So you've been really pushed in the direction of assessing your foundation, as in your home life. Like I said, who you are in private. Who are you when no one's watching? And as an air sign, and as a very socially oriented sign, it's a daunting thing to do, to be alone, to have to look only inwards, to not be able to bounce off like ideas, thoughts, conversations with other people. It's been a lonely place for you, Libras. But as I said, things are getting easier. So hang on in there. First and foremost, we've got throughout the entire, most of May, so from the 13th of May onwards, and for most of June as well, we've got Venus going in retrograde in your 9th house. The 9th house is the house of long distance travel. It's also the house of higher beliefs and philosophy and life philosophy. It's also the house linked with society and social life. And I'm gonna tell you this, you will come out of the woods, as in out of your home. Those have been the woods for you, my dear Libra. You will come out of them, and you will reemerge as the social butterfly that you generally are. And I actually feel very optimistic for you because you're going to draw a lot of positive energy out of social interactions and out of getting out of this lonely place that you've been forced into throughout the previous months. You might also be very glowing in the world. I've got to tell you, you're probably going to be like showered with like positive thoughts, positive reactions from people. Generally, a lot of positive energy is coming your way from others throughout the month of May, and you're going to really enjoy that. Now, I'm also going to say that as of mid-May till the end of September-ish, if you haven't had a chance to spend time with your family, if you haven't had a chance to connect with them, you will get that shot. You will get that chance. You will be able to go back home, even if it's just for a little bit. So you will be enjoying that sense of like, that feeling of, oh, it's kind of like normal. I've missed this. I'm going back to my roots. I'm reconnecting with them. On the 7th of May, we've got a full moon happening in your second house of money and earned income. And let me tell you this. It looks like around this time, you're finally reaching the end of a financial crisis. If you've been worried about money, if you've been stressed out about money, it seems to be coming to an end. So the only way is up from here. I'm also gonna say this. You will be required to pay your debts. That's one thing to keep in mind. But things that you've been working on, ways in which you've been of service to society and to others, are starting to pay off. So if you have been keeping busy, if you have been trying to make yourself useful, if you have been of service to others throughout this entire period, it will pay off. So around this time, around the 7th of May, I'm going to say yes, if you've been working, money will come to you, so you will be paid, which is great. On the other hand, it does seem to me like you've got some debts to pay as well. So not all the money that's coming to your pocket is gonna stay in your pocket. But hey, we all have like debts to pay, like we all have bills, etc. So there's no reason to feel like uncomfortable about it or anything like that. Now, I'm also going to say the sun involved at the full moon time is in a really nice aspect to Jupiter and Pluto in your 4th house of home and family. It looks to me like you're either going to receive like some sort of like gift from the family. It could be monetary, or it could be something that's really going to make a difference in your life from a resource point of view. Or it could very well be that maybe you have some extra cash left that you feel the need to like splurge on something nice for your home. So that's definitely another possibility. Now, I'm also going to say that around this full moon, since you're getting paid, you're probably going to want to have some fun as well. And that fun is coming, and it seems to be very romantic and passionate in nature. So enjoy that as well. I mean, enjoy the love, enjoy the passion, enjoy the flings, the flirtation. You're feeling good, and you're starting to feel confident again. It's also possible, if you're coupled up, that you are going back into the world with your significant other, and it's like a nice breather out of being stuck with them for the previous weeks, months. Now, on the 22nd, this is big, and this is good and nice for you, Libras. We've got a new moon happening in your ninth house, very beautifully aspecting Saturn in your fifth house of love. What does that mean? So it means that around this time, it's very possible if you travel or if you go out into the world, if you're single, let's say, and I know I'm going to get a lot of people saying, oh, but what if I don't want anything romantic? Oh, I'm going to get to you as well. What if I don't want to go into a partnership? I'm like, okay, fine, but let me tell this to the people who do want to be coupled up or who are open to partnerships. Around the 22nd of May, it looks to me like you might be reconnecting with someone who you've known in the past. You're going to reconnect with them in the world, and a romantic relationship might emerge out of that. So you could enter into a relationship, or you enter like a very lovely affair, or have a really good time with someone who you've known in the past, but you haven't been romantically linked with. It's really good fun, I would say. It's a very good time to reemerge in society as well, I would say, and present yourself to the world in a different kind of perspective. I'm gonna say this. Be very careful not to like over flirt or overdo it romantically from a entertainment wise, because there is a tendency of overdoing it and of making up for the lost time. We've got Neptune in your sixth house of day-to-day work in a square to Venus in your ninth house of society and outings and all of that. To me, this also could translate into work holding you back from traveling, although, let's say you probably have the money to travel, and although you're probably very keen to travel again. You will have to work around this time. I'm going to tell you, Libra, you're excited to go back into the world and you're excited to have fun. And like I said, if you're not interested in entering a partnership, although there will be, I would say, opportunities for that to at least to like flirt, at least to hook up if you're open. If you don't want any of that, it's a good time to go out and have fun and even party, I would say. But don't overdo it, because you're going to have a lot of work on your plate throughout the month of May. And that's Libra. My dear Scorpios, welcome also to your May horoscope. Now, what is going on in May and what should you prepare for? Well, for a lot of things. First of all, you should prepare for the full moon happening in your sign, so in your first house on the 7th of May, ruling your identity, your body, your personality, who you are, how the world sees you, how you begin things, all very, very exciting. You should also prepare for the new moon on the 22nd of May in your 8th house. Throughout the most of the month, I keep on saying throughout the entire month, from the 13th of May, Venus is going retrograde in your 8th house of sex, other people's money, shared resources, a little bit of taboo topics, drama, pain, crisis, transformation, and Venus is ending its retrograde period on the 25th of June, but it's still going to be in Gemini. It's still going to be in the same area of your chart. So it's going to be in that area of your chart for the whole of May and the whole of June and a little bit longer than that. But I've given you like a taster. I've given you a sneak peek, okay? So what does that mean? First and foremost, you are in a very good position throughout the month of May to reevaluate your intimate relationships, your most intimate relationships, the relationships that require you to share a part of you or give up on a part of you in order to merge with another person. If you're married or in a long-term committed partnership, it would obviously be related to a partner. I would also say it's a good time to look back at the relationships with people with whom you share some sort of like resources in general, so even family. you're gonna see these relationships with a different set of eyes, I would say, and you're gonna be much more willing to patch things up, to bring peace, to bring harmony in this area of your life, and to bring conflict resolution and a solution that makes everyone happy. So all parties involved, not just you. It's also a fantastic time, Scorpio. When is it not a fantastic time? Well, these 2 months are actually a fantastic time for you to have probably some of the best sex ever, because when we've got Venus traversing our house of sex, that's when things get really sensual and passionate and very enjoyable. So do enjoy as many intimate moments with the people that you want to enjoy them with as you possibly can. Now, yeah, it could also mean that someone who you've been like casually hooked up with in the past might make a bit of a return to your life, to your attention. I'm also going to say that throughout the entire month of May and June, it seems to me like money that, or gifts that were somehow like lost in transit or lost in translation, find their way back to you. You might feel like you're attracting gifts and resources from others more than ever before. And what can I say? Enjoy it, because why not? It's also a very good time, I would say, to talk through the topics between you and someone who you've got an intimate relationship with. Talk through the topics that might have been taboo up until now and really hash things out, because let's not forget, Gemini is the sign of communication. So voicing things out, bringing things that you might have kept hidden into your like psyche, your subconscious, or anything like that, they might find their way back at the top of your mind. So it's a good idea to voice these topics. Now, on the 7th of May, give or take 3 days before, 3 days after, that's when you might feel the impact of it. We've got, like I said, the full moon unfolding in your first house. If you've been having any sort... Okay, so I'm going to start with the bad news. Well, the less positive news, let's say. And I'm going to continue with the positive news. So if you have had any sort of like health related scares, or if you have felt like your body is aching or ailing in any shape or form, this is the culmination and the end of that period. So you are entering a phase of, let's say you've had some like acute condition, but now you are entering the healing phase. So that is super, super positive. I would also say that around this time, your self-confidence might be boosted. It might receive like a significant boost through either a partner, a romantic interest, or through doing some sort of like enjoyable activity that you are very passionate about. It's also a fantastic time for you to come out into the world and brand yourself and like redefine the image that the world has of you through one of your passions and hobbies. It's very possible that throughout this entire period, you might have been able to bring through money and income through one of your passions. So around this time, around the full moon, you might actually come to terms with, okay, this is part of who I am, right? You're also going to be very much able to enjoy some well-needed like fun. So if you can go out, or if you can spend like quality time doing things that you love doing, that you enjoy doing, that you're passionate about, this is probably the best time in the month to focus on your true passions, on your true hobbies. at the same time, around the full moon, we've also got Mars in Aquarius, which is in your 4th house of home and family. That rules your work and your health, nicely aspecting Venus in your 8th house. So it looks to me like if you have been of service to others, if you have been of service particularly to people in your family, if you have been helpful in the past couple of months, they will somehow reward you for it. They will shower you with affection. They will shower you with gifts. So all in all, I really like this full moon for you, Scorpio. Yeah, you might feel a little bit on edge. I might say you might feel a little bit like you need to rest, because you probably do. But it's a nice feeling of fullness. Now, on the 22nd of May, we've got a new moon happening in your 8th house. The 8th house, like I said, of shared resources, other people's money, sex, taxes, death, the good stuff. Aspecting Saturn in your 4th house of home and family. Okay, this is actually super important. If you've been meaning to invest something into your home, if you've been meaning to like take some sort of like mortgage, or if you needed like an influx of like cash from someone, or I don't know, if you've been waiting to like move in with a partner, or for like a partner to like receive good news in regards to your residence, the news is going to be good, and it's going to impact your home life for the long run. It can have like a very, very positive impact on the place that you live in. So like I said, a very like obvious and easy to play out scenario is you hearing back from like the bank and receiving the green light to like move ahead with a purchase. Or you might actually like receive some money and decide to like renovate the house, or invest in the house, or beautify the house. It's also possible that if you've been going through some sort of like crisis in the home place, it's coming to an end, and you're in a much, much better position relationship-wise with all the parties involved. You've talked things through and you start fresh. And you might also receive some like very good news in regards to your family that you might want to keep under wraps for whatever reason. You don't want to share with the rest of the world. I don't know, Scorpio. You tell me what it is. I'm going to be waiting for your comments, people. I really want to know how this plays out in May for all of us. Seriously. Now, at the same time, I've got to say, there is, around the time of the new moon, yes, there is a little bit of concern in regards to how much time for fun and for fun-related activities you'll have after you receive this news and related to your home and family, or like house. So maybe you have to like start doing some work on the home. Maybe if your family is expanding, you're not gonna have that much time for your passions and like hobbies, or like to spend time with like a significant other. But at the same time, don't let that feeling dilute the very, very good news and the very enjoyable chapter that you are about to enter. And whenever Saturn is touching anything, like it's touching, nicely aspecting the new moon, it means that the change that is coming and the chapter that you are entering is going to play out over a long period of time, over years. So good luck with that, my dear Scorpio. My dear Sagittarians, welcome back to my channel. I am assuming that you know me and you've been here before. And hello, obviously, to new Sagittarians. Welcome to my channel. Now, what does the month of May have in store for you? So, in case you haven't gone nuts in the house just yet, if you've held it together, congratulations. Really, really lighter times are ahead of you, and you're probably going to enjoy May the most this year. I mean, a lot of signs are going to enjoy May a lot because they're going to compare it to March and April and even January, and looking back, May is going to be a really chill month. Let's call it a chilled month. So first and foremost, what is happening? We have, throughout the entire month of May and June, we've got Venus in your 7th house of partnerships and committed relationships. Venus is actually going retrograde in this area of your chart from the 13th of May till the 25th of June. But like I said, you've got Venus in this area of your chart in the house of partnerships for a full 2 months. Now, what does that mean? It means that first and foremost, you're probably going to draw a lot of joy and a lot of pleasure out of spending time with a significant other. If you are single and you've been ready to mingle, but the lockdown has been in your way, the quarantine has been in your way, you stand a very high chance of reconnecting with an old flame throughout this entire retrograde period. So you might actually rekindle the fire with an old romantic interest. If these past few months have been quite hard on your relationship, I have to say, take the time throughout mid-May and most of June to reconnect with your partner, to maybe pay attention to things or like talk through things that were annoying to you at the time when they happened, or like maybe it's time to like talk through circumstances that did not make the past few months that enjoyable, let's say, and really find the common ground there. I'm gonna say this, you're bound to receive a lot of love from a partner, or a lot of love from the world in general, because the 7th house is not just the house of partnership. It's people who are not us, okay? So the 7th house is the opposite of the 1st house. In the 1st house, it's us and our body and our identity and the world. And the 7th house is pretty much everyone else. So you are going to attract a lot of loving, affectionate energy towards you in this time frame. And you're going to feel good about it. You're going to enjoy being surrounded by people. It is a really good time, like I said, if you are single, to enter a relationship, although I advise you to not make any sort of like dramatic long-term decisions till Venus is out of retrograde, so after the 25th of June. I would actually advise that you wait till the beginning of July, if possible. Don't jump in just yet, although you might be tempted to, because it's actually going to look really good. Wait a few more days to see if it's good or if it was too good to be true. Now, it also feels like there is a new beginning coming for you partnership-wise. You are entering a new beginning, and you might be feeling this energy looming around you, because I know you Sagittarians. I mean, I'm married to one. You don't want to know about the future, but you are actually incredibly intuitive about the future yourselves. So you might already have a feel for what is coming up. And I have to say, since the 5th of May till the beginning of 2022, so for a long time, your destiny will somehow feel like it's being molded by your partnerships and the roads that your partner is taking. And you might have to you might feel the need to follow a partner. You might feel the need to change your life for a partner. You might feel like this compulsion, this calling to really alter your life somehow to fit in with someone else's needs, or because someone has come up into your life. Now, on the 7th of May, let's start with the beginning. So, at the beginning of the month, on the 7th of May, and you might feel this energy 3 days before, 3 days after as well, we've got a full moon in the 12th house. In Scorpio for you, my dear Sagittarius. It looks like the period of isolation, because the 12th house is isolation, is coming to an end. And you're probably going to be very happy about it. Oh my god, I'm breaking things around me. I'm very excited. I'm hoping my husband gets out of isolation and I get to follow him. Please, 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 people, do not jump at my throat if you think I am treating serious topics lightly. I'm not. This is sarcasm, okay? I probably should not have mentioned this when I was doing the Sagittarius horoscope because you guys do get sarcasm, but a lot of people seem to not get it. So I've seemed to have to like explain it in every video that I do. Rant over. Pushed aside. Around the full moon time, and the full moon brings with it a completion. It's the end of a chapter. Woohoo! Mars is in Aquarius in your third house of Sagittarius, in your third house of short distance travel, communication, and it is nicely aspecting Venus in your seventh house of partnerships and seventh house of other people. So you seem to be getting out of the isolation in order to reconnect with other people. I'm going to say first and foremost, and you might say, yeah, this is quite obvious, but you seem to be on your way to be reconnecting with your family first and foremost, and bring a partner along. Now, on the 22nd of May, we are entering this new chapter that I've been telling you about, Sagittarius, in your seventh house of marriage and long-term partnerships. You have a new moon in Gemini, very beautifully aspecting Saturn in your third house of communication and news and even siblings. So a few things could happen around this time. You might hear some positive, very positive news that's going to impact also your life in regards to a partner. If you are single, then you might meet someone in your close circle of friends or in like your vicinity, maybe in your neighborhood, in your community, in your close circle. You might meet someone who you are going to enter into a partnership with. You could go through like a communication breakthrough with a partner around the same time, and you seem to be very aligned in regards to plans. You also seem to be learning a lot from a partner. And you can probably look towards the future and see that actually being with this person, whoever this person is helping you evolve as an individual and is helping you hone your skills. I also have to say, you might attract a mentor around this time who's going to teach you some very practical skills that you can use in your day-to-day life. And you seem to be entering like a learning period with this person that's going to last for quite a few years. I do have to say this. At the same time, although you seem to be communicating very well with a partner and you seem to be embarking on a new journey with them, there is something about the home and the family, or maybe about like your plans related to home and family, that just doesn't match up with this new journey that you are embarking upon. Maybe your family is like not very supportive of this person being in your life. I don't know what it is, but you seem to be getting along with them just fine. So follow that, Sagittarius. And now let's move on to Capricorns. Capricorns, well done for surviving and making it through another month. Like you are becoming rock solid. And there is nothing that is gonna be messing with you after this whole period is over. Like seriously, nothing. From December onwards this year, you're gonna be like, I am like a mountain. I cannot be conquered. Or even if you conquer me, I'm still me, and I'm like the Himalayas. I don't know. I'm making up all of these like jazzy metaphors for you. Not so jazzy, I know, Capricorns. But seriously, congrats for like holding it together. I've got good news for you as well, okay? So the good news is rolling. The atmosphere is going to feel a lot lighter and a lot more lighthearted and a lot more focused towards socialization, communication, exchange of ideas and information in May. And you might be very pleased to see that things are starting to move. They're not stagnant anymore. We are not at a dead end anymore, which might have, oh God, what an idiotic pun I've chosen. It might have felt like that in March and April, unfortunately. So, throughout this entire month, this month and next month, you've got Venus cruising and then going retrograde in your house of day-to-day work. But I'm actually not worried at all when Venus is retrograde. Maybe I am worried a little bit. I mean, I'll tell you what I mean. Venus is in your day-to-day work sector for 2 months. It's going retrograde from the 13th of May till the 25th of June, which is the period when I advise you not to make any changes to your looks. Don't get that new haircut. Go get an old haircut, okay? So don't try to innovate with your looks. Don't try a new skincare treatment. Go with what's tried and tested, right? So you do need some pampering, and I actually advise you to look after your body and to look after your diet and your routine and your general well-being throughout May and June, because you might have neglected that area of your life. I advise you to look after it and to pick it back up, because it will bring you joy, it will bring you pleasure, it will make you feel good about yourself. But with one big caveat, don't try anything that you haven't tested before, because it can backfire, especially if it's got something to do with your looks or with the way you dress. Big caveat, okay? Now, I also have to say, you are very protected throughout the entire month of like May and June when it comes to the workplace. So it feels like you are getting along very well with your colleagues. You might actually be patching up relationships with some colleagues that maybe you've fallen out with. You might also be meeting up with with people who you've worked with before. There is, especially between the 13th of May and the 25th of June. You seem to be enjoying work more than usual. And also, you're going to have the chance to pick up where you left off, old work projects, or look at them in a new light, in a light that makes more sense in the current climate. And that's also something that you're going to enjoy, because you do not like loose ends. It's a good time to spend with your colleagues, like I said. If you can go out with them, if you can socialize, if it's a good time to connect with them, even if you can't do it like in person, like over Zoom or something like that. You seem to be attracting quite a bit of abundance in your workplace sector, so absolutely take advantage of that. Now, on the 7th of May, we have a full moon in your 11th house. The 11th house is the house of friends, friendships, long-term goals, dreams, long-term objectives. It looks like around this time, you're communicating very well with your friends. You probably feel you reach this like moment of like culmination where you feel much more grateful than you've ever felt before for having such lovely people as your friends. You're probably gonna feel very grateful for belonging to the tribe that you belong to. So there is this sense of fulfillment that permeates throughout the chart for the full moon. I'm also gonna say this: you're probably gonna be in a super good mood around the full moon, because we've got Mars at the time in Aquarius, in your second house of earned income and money, very beautifully aspected to Venus in your 6th house of day-to-day work. So you might actually be paid, or you might not just paid for what you've done, but you might actually collect like a significant sum of money from the services that you've brought to the world. And you have been quite busy, I would say, when it comes to day-to-day work activities. You might also feel the need, well, maybe need is too big of a stretch, but you might also feel entitled to splurge a little bit around this time, and you could splurge on an outing with friends. So all in all, I would say a really nice time. I'm also going to say that whatever money comes your way around the full moon seems to be fueling one of your long-term plans. So it might be something that you've put on the back burner, and maybe you thought that you wouldn't be able to like follow through with this like plan or dream, but actually in an unexpected turn of events, things will actually go ahead. So well done, Capricorn. Now on the 22nd of May, we've got this nice new moon that I've been banging on about in your 6th house of day-to-day work, aspecting Saturn in the 2nd house of earned income. Okay, so if you have started like a new job, or if you were due to start a new job and this has been put on hold because of the pandemic, then you're probably gonna get the same offer from the same employer, and you are going to be able to go back to it. This is a new chapter that's going to last for at least a year. It seems to me like you are entering a new workplace chapter that you are very excited about. You are probably enjoying the overall like culture. You're having a good time with your colleagues. You get along very well with your colleagues, and it also pays well. So you seem to be going back to either like an old contract or like a job offer that was on hold, or even going back to your same job. Maybe you've been put on furlough. Maybe you've been put on like paid leave or unpaid leave, God forbid. And I'm really sorry if that's been the case, but it's coming to an end, and you can go back to what you've been doing and something that you enjoy doing, and it's gonna bring money in the long run because we've got Saturn, planet of long-term stuff, very beautifully aspecting this new moon. I do advise you to read the fine print though, because if you look into the contract area, we've got Neptune there, and Neptune throws some shade and brings a little bit of confusion in regards to terms. So make sure that you clarify the terms and conditions of how you're going to go back to work. Good luck, Capricorn. Hello, my Aquarius brothers and sisters. How has Saturn transiting through Aquarius been treating you, my lovely people? Now, as you know, Saturn has been in Aquarius since the 21st of March, and it's going to stay there till the end of June. So it's giving us a taster at the moment of what the next 2 years are going to look like. So from December this year till, for 2 years, till like March 2023, as of December this year. So if I am to like share something with you, which I'm about to, I don't usually share that much. I feel like the past month and a half has been really pushing me to face my fears and really pushing me in the direction of doing what I'm meant to be doing and like being who I'm meant to be in this lifetime. But then again, I do have Saturn transiting a very karmic area of my chart through the 8th house. I'm very keen to hear how Saturn has been treating you, Aquarians. I've actually also shot a video, is not the right word, live streamed a video about Saturn in Aquarius. You can actually look it up in my channels. I think I could link it. If I remember to link it, I'm gonna link it. But have a look, watch it if you're interested in learning more about what this whole Saturn in Aquarius chapter brings for the world. What can you expect if you're going through your Saturn return? And I'm also talking in the video about Saturn transiting your various houses now that it's returning to Aquarius. So, what is going on in May? May is a lot about love and career. Love and career, fun and career, passion versus career, hobbies versus career. We've got a big focus on our 10th house associated with our place in this world, our public life, our career. And we've also got a big emphasis on the 5th house, the house of what we enjoy doing, of our passions, of our creative self-expression, of our hobbies, of what brings us joy in this lifetime, of fun, of entertainment, but also of romantic love. And children. To those of you who have children, there's going to be a big focus on children as well. So throughout the entire month of May and June, we're actually going to get a significant dose of fun and entertainment, and we're going to be able to focus a lot more on the things that we are passionate about and that we can create and bring into the world. That's because Venus is transiting this house. I mean, it's actually like towards the end of April. Let me check. Let me check so that I give you correct dates. Let me see if Venus is actually already in Gemini as we speak. Oh, yes, it is. And it's been there for a while. So you might have felt this influence in April as well, but I'm telling you, it's continuing throughout May and June. You're going to be drawn towards creative self-expression more than usual, more than normal, and you're going to get a kick out of it. You're going to get a lot of joy out of it because Gemini, where Venus is like going through right now, is trining. So that is the most harmonious, free-flowing aspect in astrology, is trining Aquarius as a sign. So the Gemini energy blends incredibly well with the Aquarian energy. I would say a lot of Aquarians are passionate about communication and writing and expressing themselves creatively and communicating through technological means such as social media, such as having a channel on YouTube. Would you look at me? I'm the embodiment of my sign. Be it through actual like fun and partying and having a good time, be it through creative self-expression, Aquarians, you're gonna get a kick out of the month of May, and it's gonna feel good. It's gonna feel light. It's gonna feel intellectually stimulating. So, like I said, you're probably gonna enjoy the whole energy of May in general, especially after the full moon that is happening on the 7th of May. So, especially from the 7th of May onwards. Now, why do I say that? So, you've got a full moon happening on the 7th of May in your 10th house of career, Aquarians. And the good part is that Neptune in your 2nd house of earned income is in a very nice angle with the full moon. So, this full moon, 3 days before, 3 days after, might actually bring with it an overflow of earned money. So money that you've been working really hard for. Also recognition, appreciation, a round of applause because you've taken like some important career project to an end. You might also decide to like end a chapter in your career around this time, but it's because, or it's kind of like in conjunction with the fact that you're doing very well financially. You could also get paid around this time if you've been waiting for like bonuses, if you've been waiting for anything like that. It seems to be coming your way. In any case, you feel the abundance around this time. You feel valuable, and the universe is kind of paying you back for the value that you are bringing into the world. So you should actually be really proud of yourself, Aquarius. At the same time, at the time of the full moon, we've got Mars still transiting through your first house in Aquarius. It has been in Aquarius for most of April, which might have made you quite impatient, Aquarius, or maybe more of a leader, a stronger leader, a more outspoken leader, Aquarius, or really like eager to pick a fight. Yeah. Not saying that I've done that. So at the time of the full moon, Mars in your first house is also very beautifully aspecting Venus in your fifth house of enjoyment and fun and creative self-expression. So this culmination in your career is making you feel very optimistic about the future. It's giving you a lot of confidence and a lot of energy and a lot of stamina to focus on the things that you love and that you're passionate about. Channel that energy, Aquarius. Channel it, because with all those planets in the 12th house, you've had to spend a lot of time on your own. That time is coming to an end towards the end of this year, towards December. But you've had to do a lot of soul searching in the past few years, especially in the past 2.5 years. So now it looks like you are emerging out of that cocoon slowly but surely, and the new you is being crystallized, and this whole crystallization seems to be very much connected with your career and place in the world and what you bring to the table in the world as well. Now, on the 22nd of May, this is the new moon that I've been banging on about. I love it. It's really good. We've got a new moon in your fifth house. Again, love, creativity, children, in a very harmonious aspect with Saturn in your first house. This has written all over it, if you ask me, the fact that you are starting off a new chapter where you manage to materialize and bring structure to what you love doing. So Saturn is also linked with work in general, and with putting in like work and being disciplined about something and being consistent over a long period of time. So it is very possible that you might start making a living out of something that you were only doing as a hobby, and you've come to terms with that, and that's been like absorbed into who you are, and you're ready to present that to the world and say, this is the new me, this is what I love to be doing. Here I am, world. I'm ready to start off fresh. I do have to say you have some doubts, and there is like some uncertainty in regards to money. There's some fog and confusion in regards to maybe the consistency of the income coming out of this. But at the same time, I do have to say, when you have the support of Saturn, it means that if you put the work in the long run, Saturn, the great taskmaster, will find a way to repay you. So yes, there might be some concerns around money and values and how this is going to work long term. But at the same time, whoever doesn't take a chance doesn't win. I think that's the saying. So take a chance, Aquarius. Saturn's on your side. And now, last but not least, my lovely Pisceans, welcome to your May horoscopes. I've got to say, Pisces is one of the signs that's probably been dealing, well, I'm not saying that that's a rule, but whoever has a lot of planets in Pisces, especially personal planets, might have been dealing a lot better with the lockdown, the isolation, the disruptive waves that have shook society and our world. That's because Pisces might already be very connected to the new reality that is about to emerge out of all of this, and we'll probably see its contour, a clearer contour of it towards the end of the year. So Pisces is kind of like going with the flow. That's the feel that I'm getting from them. And also Pisces rules isolation and confinement, so it's much easier for them to deal with these kind of social restrictions, I would say. Not saying that's valid for everyone, but if you do have a lot of planets in Pisces, you probably know what I'm talking about. Now, what is going on? So, some good stuff is going on, Pisces. Some good stuff for everyone, and also for you in May. You're probably going to have to socialize more this month compared to the previous 2 months, and you're probably going to start being exposed to the world and to people a lot more this month. It's all going to start off with society at large. So it's going to start off with a full moon happening in your 9th house of society and long distance travel and the rest of the world and studying as well. The full moon is in Scorpio, and it's very beautifully aspected by Neptune in your 1st house. So around this time, you might actually...
I have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
Oh my god, guys, I'm sorry. That's Alexa actually listening.
Well, quite.
I'm just gonna shut up for now, for a second. I cannot believe... That's not Alexa, sorry. I think it's Siri. I don't know. I've got like a random machine listening to me in the house. So, going back to Pisces. Neptune in your 1st house is actually in a nice angle with the full moon unfolding on your 9th to 3rd house axis. So, you might receive some really good news in regards to long distance travel around this time. You might hear news of a holiday that maybe you thought you couldn't take, or maybe you've postponed and now you've made plans for it. You might actually hear some really positive news about healing, news about empathy, news about emotional connection with the world around the same time. And it could be all very, very endearing and very soothing for the soul to see how the world has come together at this time. It might all, after this period of isolation and lockdown, you might also be reaching some sort of like culmination in regards to how you view the world. And there might have been some shifts in your mentality happening in the past few weeks or months. And you are evolving your perspective, and you are evolving, and you're reaching a culmination of evolving how you see the world. And you're coming to terms with a new world. That's how I would translate what's happening around the full moon. You might also hear fantastic news, very positive news about travel. So there might be some sort of like travel ban lifted, or you might be able to like move around more freely. Maybe more short distance than long distance, but step by step, okay? At the same time, I would say there's this like underlying feeling around the full moon that you've almost like graduated some sort of like karmic trial. You've had to sacrifice a part of you. Maybe you've had to like face some of your fears. Maybe you've had to like stay away from your family, keep away from them, and it might have been very daunting. But you've come out of it unscathed, I hope. And it feels like the whole trial is empowering you and is making you look at the world through a fresh set of spectacles where you get it, you know more, you understand more. Also, if you've had to like take any sort of like test around this time, or if you've been like on some sort of like course or class, you seem to be graduating and the news seems to be very good and you're probably very proud of yourself. On the 22nd of May, we have a new moon in your 4th house. So, in Gemini. Now, new moons usually bring with them new beginnings. You're entering into a new phase, a new stage that's going to last for at least a year. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Throughout the entire month of May and June, you seem to be catching up with family quite a lot. You seem to be reconnecting with family quite a lot. You seem to be strengthening the bonds with your family quite a lot. And you have Venus to thank for that. And also Venus going retrograde in that area of your chart. If you've been meaning to like renovate the house, or if you've been meaning to like do something nice around the house, beautify it, change the furniture, I don't know, like make it look nicer, and you've postponed those plans because of economic uncertainty or the like, you seem to be picking up where you left off between the 13th of May and the 25th of June, so you might actually be given the chance to put your plans into to implement them in reality. Now, on the 22nd, like I said, there's this new moon in happening in your home sector and your family sector, and it's aspecting Saturn in your 12th house. The 12th house is a very hidden part of your chart. The aspect is a very harmonious one. Now, you might hear some really, or become part of like this very happy event in your home place. It can feel like an unexpected blessing, and it's a blessing that's going to change your home life and your family life for years to come, because whenever we have Saturn involved, the change is long term generally. I mean, some people might have babies around this time, or they might hear of like someone in their family having a baby. You might be more open and eager to form a home and a family with a significant other, with a partner. It can play out in multiple ways, like reconnecting with your family and being a lot more grateful and showering them with love and them showering you back with love. But there's this very cozy feeling about it. Now, at the same time, Mars in your first house, at the time of the new moon, is squaring the new moon in your fourth house. So be careful, I would say, of tough love, and also careful of any sort of excess. So yes, it's like, I mean, obviously, like, you don't have to like take my advice, but don't overdo it. Don't exhaust yourself trying to keep up with what your family's been up to. Maybe don't spend all your money on gifts for your family. So there might be this tendency to overdo things. Just don't. Just try to like pace yourself, because you're gonna get plenty of time with them, and plenty of time to like show them your affection throughout, like I said, the entire month of May and June. So my lovelies, thank you once again for watching the horoscope. If you are interested in a personalized yearly forecast that is based on your natal chart, and that is the most accurate type of horoscope that you can get, because like I said, it's based only on who you are, please feel free to get in touch with me. I've left a link to my website in the description box down below. Now, if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hello, please do. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, because apparently that helps the channel. So I'm assuming you want to help the channel. And let me know how May is going for you. I'm very curious to hear reports on the ground as to how this month is playing up. I've got to say, I'm an optimist at heart, and I cannot wait for a turn for the better. Thank you once again. Bye.